panel, Liberal MP Jason Falinski and Labor MP Joel FITZGIBBON, who's had a huge week, which we'll get to in a moment, announcing your upcoming resignation from federal parliament. Let's first start, however, with nuclear power. This is a debate that is going to be reignited, or it was happening anyway, but particularly because of the decision this week to have nuclear-powered submarines. Joel, should this give us an opportunity to start a local nuclear generation industry?
I think it should, SHARRI. Look, the Labor Party has a different position on this issue, and I understand and respect it, because the reality is that it seems the Australian community isn't ready for a nuclear industry or nuclear generators. But I think it's incumbent upon me. I have the opportunity to encourage people to think more deeply about it. And the planning for the submarine procurement does give us an opportunity to progress that conversation. First step, of course, is to get rid of this ridiculous prohibition on nuclear generation, so that we can at least allow investors to come forward with a proposition which can be then assessed both by government regulators and, of course, the Australian community. It's more than passing strange that we're now planning to have nuclear reactors in our ports and up and down our coasts, moving up and down our coasts, but we seem still unconvinced of the safeness of having nuclear generations in our country, like so many countries do, SHARRI, including, of course, our key allies, which are involved in that submarine program.
Yes, I think this is such a good point. Jason, do you think the Prime Minister was too quick to rule this out this week? Because it does seem like the community sentiment on this issue has changed dramatically.
SHARRI, you're absolutely right. I mean, I saw some polling, I think, early this year that showed 70+% of people who vote Labor and Liberal support at least examining nuclear power. Even 53% of Green voters were in favour of examining it. The International Energy Agency has made it clear that the only possible way to net zero by 2050 rather, is the widespread use of nuclear power. Bill Gates has made the point. So I always find it interesting, when Zali Steggall and the Greens love to talk about net zero by 2050, including many people in Joel's party, and they refer to the IEA report that says get rid of coal and stop pumping gas. But they always ignore all the chapters that talk about the importance of nuclear power to getting to net zero by 2050. So it is something, I agree absolutely with Joel. We should as a first step, we should get rid of the moratorium. So private investors have a proposal that they think they can sell to different parts of Australia, that at least they can start coming forward with that. So that would be a good first step.
And SHARRI, can I just quickly say how it was one of the most irresponsible things I've seen from a politician, and we've seen a few.
The Prime Minister?
Adam Bandt from the Greens, describing the nuclear-powered submarines as floating Chernobyl, SHARRI. This is just terrible language. Of course, we have a nuclear reactor not far from the Sydney CBD. So thanks, Adam, for the reassurance you give all of those people who live near that reactor, a reactor, of course, which has been there very safely for many, many decades.
They're such a joke, the Greens. Joel, but this is the problem. I mean, you even look at your own party, and this is the problem with you retiring, I have to say. And I understand you want to have a break and do something different, and you've been in politics a long time. However, there are not many people in the Labor Party who are sensible, who are centrist, who have mainstream views like you do. And it seems to me that the people who do have those views, you, Michael Danby, are leaving. How worried are you about the direction of the Labor Party, the policy direction of the Labor Party moving into the future?
Well, as you know, I'm concerned about the constant march of the progressives, or the excessive progressives, as I call them, in the party. But there are a lot of good people still. There will be a lot of good people still in the parliamentary party. And I'm not going anywhere, SHARRI. I'm leaving the parliament whenever Scott Morrison calls an election, but I'm not going away, and I expect to be making a contribution to the public debate for a long, long time. And I intend to stay active in the party at its other levels, SHARRI. So to those who are celebrating my departure, I say think again.
Yeah. What do you think about this? Jason, do you think there are many sensible people left in the Labor Party? I can't think of many others.
Well, no, I don't think so.
Don't start naming them. Please do not do that to them.
Well, when you look at topics, it's not just this. It's not just mining and nuclear, but even Israel as well. And you just wonder how many friends Israel has left in the Labor Party and how damaging it would be for our relations with Israel, for example, if the Labor Party won the next election, which is looking likely at this point.
Sharri, I've got to tell you, firstly, do I have to announce my retirement to get the sort of bouquets that that Joel just got? It might be worth it. Look, but what I would say seriously is, to your point and to Joel's point, which is that the Labor Party just seems to be full of people who are innumerate these days. I mean, whether it's on, who our friends are in the Middle East, how we're going to make our energy market work, how we can fund promises and our federal government coming out of COVID-19, all these things seem to consistently, you stand up in the House of Representatives, and I've got to say, at least with Joel, you might disagree with him, but at least his ideas add up. There are so many of the people sitting behind him where they say stuff and you just go, this doesn't even make sense. Beyond the fact that it doesn't add up. So, it's a loss to the party.
Come on, Jason. Don't let us not pretend you don't have a few problems on your own side in that regard. Come on.
Absolutely. Well, this conversation will go on forever if we start getting into that. Joel FitzGibbon, Jason Falinski, thank you both very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, team.